and I am an agriculture teacher at Bloomfield Middle School. And today I'm going to be showcasing my ruminant digestive system stations to you. And so the main reason I developed these is there's not a lot of hands-on animal science lessons that are dedicated to middle school, and there's also not a lot of hands-on animal science lessons that are low cost and friendly for those who maybe don't have a lab setting, especially if you work with middle schoolers. Because of that, I wanted to think of what kind of options would benefit my students to learn about the ruminant digestive system, be able to identify the components, be able to compare that digestive system to monogastric, hindgut fermenters, avian, and then be able to explain the functions. And so that led me to doing some research. I found a lot of great ideas, but a lot of them were either teacher-led, they were meant for high school students, so they were a little bit higher level than what my kids really needed, or the main thing was I just found a lot of PowerPoint presentations. And so I wanted something for my students to do that would be more inquiry-based and gave them the opportunity to really get involved in their learning. And so that is how I came up with this station-based model. And so with this station-based model, it's fairly low cost. You can get all these supplies for $60 or less. A lot of these are reusable, so your real cost each year would be about $20. And it's a great way for your students to get to learn. So in Station 1, the students learn about the stomach. And so they learn a little bit more about what the abomasum's job is in the ruminant digestive system. They do this through using bread, Coca-Cola, sandwich bags, pouring some of that Coca-Cola in there, watching that bread and those acids kind of break down that bread. And so the idea behind that is they understand how the acids in the stomach, or in the abomasum in this case, break down the food. Station number 2 is the ruminant digestive system. So in this station, they use a 2-liter bottle. I really like to get the half liters because I find that they work a little bit better. They use hot water and they use sugar, as well as an instant yeast packet and a balloon. They put the balloon around the top of the 2-liter bottle and watch it inflate. And so the idea would be that the yeast and the sugar and the hot water work together to cause fermentation and causes that balloon to inflate. And then the students get to understand how that works in the rumen and how that fermentation occurs and allows food to be digested. In station number 3, they're feeling their way through the ruminant digestive system. So I have these shoe boxes. I've cut out a hole at the top. The idea would be that they are blindly looking inside these boxes. So whether you have the students close their eyes or you use blindfolds, they're feeling into these boxes to determine what part of the ruminant digestive system this most feels like or seems similar to. So at this point, we would have already looked at pictures of the ruminant digestive system. We would have already learned what each of the pieces and parts do. This is kind of a reinforcement activity to kind of reinforce that learning and information. So each one is a little bit different. So this is my omasum. So it's got these loofahs in here that kind of act as those folds. I have my abomasum, which has our saran wrap. I have our reticulum, which will have frozen waffles in them. And as you can imagine, all the middle schoolers think that's really fun. Some of them think it's a little gross, but it makes the learning more active. And then in the rumen, I will use kind of the towels that you would use to wash your car, where they have the parts that they kind of stick up to be like the papillae in the rumen. And so after that, they go to Station 4. Station 4 is like the least interactive, but it is a time for them to go through research, use what they know, and actually compare the ruminant digestive system to the monogastric, the hindgut fermenters, and the avian digestive system, and makes them kind of think about how are they similar, how are they different. Then on Station 5, they complete a game. So I actually found this game online. It's a little hard to see. And it was through a website called Ellen Henry's basement workshop. And so it actually came with, they did it a little bit differently than I did. So they had a little spinner and things. It comes with some cards. So the website actually has some cards that are already made that ask questions. I did add some different cards to the game just because I wanted something that related a little more to ag. This related to animal science. It had some really good sciencey biology questions in there, but I wanted a few things to be a little bit more related to ag. And then for the pieces of the game, you could really use anything, but I got a Sorry game from the Goodwill, and I just got it really for the pieces so that the kids would have the pieces to be able to use. And then Station 6, they make a model of the ruminant digestive system. So they use a sandwich bag. They trace the image of a ruminant digestive system. They put a little bit of hair gel in that bag along with one of these black pinto beans. And then in order to get checked off, they have to show me how that food moves through the ruminant digestive system. And I do make sure that they remind me of the portion where the cows chew their cud, because a lot of times, they do like to just go straight through. They forget that it comes back up. And so that's a good reminder for them and allows them to show me what they know. I set it up to where there are 3 to 4 students in each station. The stations are 8 to 10 minute rotations, and they have to show me their work before they can move on. I give them stamps if they are good, and this also makes it really quick and effective when I go to grade later on. I know that if they got 6 stamps, then I checked their work and it was good. If they didn't get 6 stamps from me, then they did not complete their work. This is a super great lesson in the fact that it does involve using their hands, using that inquiry. It's very low cost, and it's something that could be easily ramped up if you wanted to do this at a high school level, to ask some harder questions to make it a little more inquiry based, even to maybe instead of having them work in a team of 3 or 4, have them work in a team of 2, depending on your materials. Or if you wanted to do this with younger students, it can be more teacher led. I did have a 4-H educator that did this lesson. She had asked me for the information. She did it with her students. She asked some easier questions. She did a lot more teacher-led than student-led, and she saw really great results. I've also seen really great results in my classroom. And so the students from doing this, they're able to explain the process a lot better to me than what they were able to explain before. I feel like it is a great way for me to kind of get to assess what they know when I make them compare, when I make them tell me why these things are happening, when I make them tell me that the process that's happening in the sandwich bag with the Coca-Cola is what happens in the stomach, and the true stomach in cattle is the abomasum. And so I feel like it's got a really large amount of educational value and can be easily integrated into several different classes, as well as it covers some of their core content standards, some of the things that they would have learned in science class about digestion, or some of the things they would have learned in English class about having to compare and contrast. Overall, if this is an activity that you think that you want to implement in your classroom, a few tips that I have is I would make sure that you plan early. There's a lot of things like the shoe boxes, the 2-liter or 1.5-liter bottles, those kinds of things that you could get like recycled. So it's not something that you have to go out and buy. You just need to be prepared for that ahead of time. The other big thing that I recommend is having a system in place and having some really effective classroom management. As a first-year middle school teacher, doing something like this would have really scared me. But now that I am, in year 6 of teaching, getting them in these station models is not that difficult because I've already got my classroom management under control. I guess intentional in how I like to group my students, and I recommend that you do the same. I hope this lesson has been enjoyable for you to learn about, and I wish you great success if you decide to try it in your classroom.